All right, let's move on because it's no secret producers of reality TV shows like Married at First Sight and they manipulate contestants. While many viewers think the people going on these shows deserve everything they get, it seems like producers are going even further than ever before to create must-see TV. Megan Pustetto is the host of the So Dramatic podcast and has been airing some serious allegations against Channel 9's biggest show. Megan, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Thanks for having me, Rob. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. We're a three-person team here at the McKnight Tonight studios in my garage, so sometimes we have a few little problems, as you saw.
I'm a one person in my bedroom, so you're doing better than me.
Well, you and I, we're doing our own thing, creating our own futures, but when you look at a show like Married at First Sight, which has a lot of producers, a lot of people working on it, it's Channel 9's biggest show. You have been airing some really dirty laundry about the show. You're currently airing a multi-part interview with former participant Sierra. What are some of the claims she's making?
I mean, we recorded that interview for, I think it was about 20 hours over 3 days. It was absolutely insane. And it wasn't like any of the information she was giving was not interesting or relevant. Everything
No.
she said was like really on point. We'd prepped and all of that. So it wasn't like we were going off script. But it was just insane the level of detailing she had. She took like a diary entry from day one of filming until like present day, and the receipts and the documents and the evidence she had compiled was just honestly insane. And yeah, there was a lot of really serious claims that she made. I mean, we're only up to part four. I'm not sure how many parts there's going to actually be in total. I'm editing it as I go, but it's had a really positive feedback from my listeners and stuff who are just absolutely shocked by what she's claimed in this interview. And I mean, they've heard a lot of quite shocking claims on my podcast, so the fact that this has blown their minds is just, yeah, next level.
Look, we always hear people whinging about the villain edit, right? And that is something I've never been a fan of. I'm always like, well, if you did those things, they've got the footage. But what we're talking about here is serious manipulation, and we're talking about mental health and the way these producers, who I think really have to think about their morals here and what they do on a daily basis, because what they're doing it certainly isn't moral, is it?
No, it's far from moral. I mean, she experienced, or she's alleged that she experienced a non-consensual encounter during filming with her TV husband, and she raised these concerns to producers. They were ignored, and the whole time throughout filming, actually, she suffered emotional abuse. There was even instances of physical, like intimidation and stuff like that. And at times, producers actually witnessed this behavior. She alerted them to this behavior and it was ignored. And then, even after the fact, she's gone on to suffer like abuse and all of these things, and production just ignored. There was even, things that she raised, like her TV husband had a prior criminal record that was ignored by producers. And she came from a trauma background. So she actually has a history of like domestic violence and stuff. And so she said like that should have been taken into more consideration and more care should have been given for her well-being. And then there was also, I think, two or three of his exes that came forward to producers and made some really serious allegations of physical and emotional abuse as well. And that was ignored too. So I think the overall point of her interview is that these things were ignored and, even at times witnessed by producers. So I think it goes far
See,
beyond
that's where
just,
I think it gets interesting. The past stuff, okay, things might get missed as they're doing their checks, but it's what goes on during filming that I'm most concerned about. And some of the allegations she's making, they've totally manipulated her situation to make her look bad, but, they do that. But there's more than that, isn't it? Tell me about the sexual encounter that she has some issues with.
well, yeah, she was saying that she thinks that she was given this villain edit because they knew of her partner's bad behavior. And so that was an attempt to cover it up because obviously, if that comes out, then it's going to be less believed by the public or people won't care as much as if this person's beloved. The
So is
sexual,
that, do you think that's what's happening? Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
this
no,
is a
no.
key point for me. They're not just crafting the show based on what creates good entertainment. They're crafting the show going, hang on, she's had a problem. We need to discredit her. So that's the thinking that goes into the manipulation of the edit. Is that what we're saying
Yes.
here?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened because not only did Sierra say that, but I also had a post producer reach out to me before I spoke to Sierra saying that post producers like had a sticky note on their computer where it was like Billy, well, her TV husband gets a good edit no matter what. And I think that was to detract from any possible, things that may come out about him. And so in an attempt to protect themselves and cover up from the fact that they cast this person on the show who they probably shouldn't have if, they want to do their duty of care. And so they discredited her and gave her this horrible edit in an attempt to, yeah, smear her so that if she ever did speak out, she wouldn't be believed or people wouldn't care as much, and then vice versa for her partner. And then even beyond the show, like there was things that this is upcoming in the interview, but there was actually an incident which has been publicized that producers called the ambulance on her to do a welfare check, saying that she had like overdosed on sleeping pills and she hadn't. And so they came to her house to do this welfare check, and the ambulance and police like took her to hospital. And it just so happened that the paparazzi were there to take photos, and like no one had her address, no one knew about this, and the only people that knew were Channel 9 and production who called the like the services, which was in her medical documentation that she provided afterwards. And so the only reasonable explanation we could come up with as to how the paparazzi knew, because I've worked with paparazzi in the past and I know that they don't just camp outside people's house. I mean, there's
No,
20
they don't.
contestants. I think there's about 5 paparazzi in the whole country. They're not just camping outside people's houses all day hoping something happens. And she was also meant to be at work that day. So the only reasonable explanation we could come up with how the paparazzi knew was if they were tipped off by Channel 9. And so we'll get to that later.
Or Endemol Shine.
Yeah, so the production or Channel 9, I'm not really sure how that situation works behind the scenes, but she's also got some quite, damning evidence of, them tipping the paparazzi off and who was involved in that. And it's pretty scary because it just goes to show like how powerful they are, and it extends way beyond just, the edit that they give people on the show. It's really like a whole kind of cover-up machine and conspiracy almost. It's yeah.
When you say
And
evidence, what kind of
even
evidence are we talking about between the production or Channel 9 and the paparazzi?
I mean, there's medical documentation where it says who made the call to the services. She also has messages between her and the show's psychologist. And it appears that the show's psychologist who made the call didn't know that she did not overdose on 30 sleeping pills. It seems like the psychologist was told that from someone at either Channel 9 or Endemol Shine Australia to make the call. So we're not sure if, she was aware that of this or she was just kind of used as
Had she
well.
been talking to the psychologist that she was in a bad place and she was taking tablets? I mean, is there a reason why
No,
they could have
she
pounced
wasn't.
during this situation?
She wasn't in a bad place. I mean,
Right.
she was a little bit traumatized after the show, as most people are. Like she obviously wasn't doing well, but she hadn't taken sleeping pills. Like they said, she was overdosing on 30 sleeping pills. There was nothing in her house to suggest that. She wasn't even on any type of medication before the show. She's only gone on medication since this hospital ordeal. So there was nothing to suggest that. And I think she actually said that the nurse was the one who said that she thinks this was some sort of, campaign against her. And then even with things like the media, I mean, there's been barely any coverage for this interview that I've done with Sierra. And given how, MAFS is the biggest show in Australia,
Mm.
coverage people, give Married at First Sight, and the claims that have been made in this interview, I understand that some may be too risky legally for outlets to cover, but the fact that it's been ignored, I don't know. I'm just wondering, is it because Channel 9 has that much hold over people that they, may wave advertising dollars over the heads of these outlets saying, we won't give you money if you report badly on us. And then even the fact that, she was given no interviews during the airing of the show. She was banned from doing media. And I mean, she was the center of the biggest scandal this year. There's no reason why no one would have wanted to speak to her. I know some journalists did reach out requesting interviews and they were denied and said she was unavailable. And then her husband was given all of these interviews. So that was also, I think, a tactic to control the edit that they wanted to portray on the show of her. Whereas if she spoke out, she could have easily said that never happened. And,
Mm.
here's the proof. So yeah, it extends beyond just, getting a bad edit on the show. It's quite a terrifying like beast, I guess, like a propaganda machine almost.
Well, there's no doubt the PR people will make decisions on who gets to go on to the Today Show and do radio interviews and all that kind of stuff. I'm interested. You've been reporting on Married at First Sight for, it seems, forever. The publicists hate you because you managed to make contact with all the contestants. You know them before or participants. You know them before the show goes to air. You get all the dirt. What have you heard about the production that worries you, not just limited to Sierra? Over the years, what are the kind of things that you've been able to validate through your sources? You know, the contestants have told you something, you've validated that. What are some of the disturbing things you've heard over the years about what goes into the manipulation, the production techniques used on this show?
I mean, it's ranges from, when they're filming. I mean, there's coercion. They manipulate them to film things. There's a lot of like stage scenes where they'll ask them pretty direct questions, or leading questions they're called, where they are trying to get a specific answer from them. And if the person doesn't give it, they'll just keep asking the question in a different way. And I had a contestant last year say it got to the point where they were like, I'm not saying that. And they basically said, well, you'll sit here all night until you say that. And they basically just said, can you just say X, Y, Z, and then we'll let you go. So it's all of that type of stuff. They also film for really long hours. Sierra said that there was one dinner party. I think it was like a 17-hour filming day. And then the next day they had to get up. I mean, she only had 4 hours sleep, and then she had to get up and be ready for her call time and do another 17
Which is
hours.
illegal if you're in the workplace. You're meant to have a 10-hour break.
Yeah. So even just that, I'm like, that's like so bad, because if you're getting on there filming with no sleep, it's a really long day. You'd be exhausted. They're just putting them in situations like this where they're already going to be on edge. They're going to get the TV that they want. They're going to be so emotionally drained already that they're going to be more easy to manipulate and say, fine, I'll just do it so I can get out of here, kind of thing. Um, and yeah, just I think the witnessing of like bad behavior that is ignored. Like Sierra said that producers actually witnessed really concerning behavior from her TV husband, and they just ignored it. And she could see that they were visibly uncomfortable and then not stepping in when things happen, or if they're not there when things happen, not removing contestants, to get other people out of potential harm. And it also just seems like, they really encourage people to behave badly or to abuse others, in whether that's emotional or whatever, like bullying and isolation and bad behavior, I guess, in general is really encouraged. And at no point do they step in or have any concern, it seems, for anyone's mental health.
Well, I think that's
I
the
know there
big
was
one.
one incident.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, well, there was one incident Sierra detailed where
Oh, we've lost Megan there. Maybe Channel 9 have censored
she
her.
had like a traumatic
Oh, Megan, I'm so sorry. We just lost you. And we've
episode.
lost you again. There we go. It looks like
Am
you're
I back?
Yeah, you are back. Can you
Am
just
I
tell us
back?
that again, please?
Okay. Yeah, so I think it was during a commitment ceremony. She suffered a traumatic episode where she had a panic attack. She was crying uncontrollably. She, couldn't manage her emotions. They had to get the psych in to help her. And while she was still having this episode, they said, sorry, but we're going to have to get you to go back in and film wides. So they actually made her go back in while she was crying uncontrollably, struggling to breathe, obviously not well enough to be filming on the show. And yeah, she was made to go back and sit there so they could get wides, and that went on for about 30 to 60 minutes. So even things like that, there's just no concern for mental health during or after. And yeah, it's really quite concerning. I'm actually quite like, by the end of the interview, I actually was feeling quite disturbed and sick about the whole thing, and the fact that even though I am exposing what goes on these shows, I am also inadvertently, getting my listeners to watch it and promoting it. And I said to Sierra, I don't know if I can even continue to watch this show in good conscience moving forward or work on
Hey,
it. It
that's
was,
interesting because a lot of people love this show. I don't think your interview is driving people to it. I think it's exposing some stuff that needs to be exposed because they keep saying, "Oh, all the participants they get counselling well beyond the show now. They've changed their attitude to how it's happening." But it doesn't sound like they have at all, and they're pushing people to the brink. And nothing will change, it seems, until there's a death, and that's a
well,
horrible thing to say.
actually, the show psychologist is paid by Channel 9. So everything that the contestants tell the psychologist, Channel 9 have access, or Endemol Shine Australia, whoever, have access to view that. So it's not even a safe space for them to open up or actually get real help. I think that's actually used against them, that information. And to be honest, I'm actually quite surprised that, and this is going to sound really bad to say, but I'm actually quite surprised that no one has done something to themselves from this show. And this year they came really close to that. And I'm really worried about the show moving forward. Just, I think each year it keeps getting worse from what I hear. I mean, I've been covering this show for 12 years. I think it'll be next year. And season one, I think it started around season 4 or 5 to get, this bad. But even back then, I thought it was quite unethical. And now I'm just like, this is beyond, comprehension. And it's morally corrupt, really.
Well, I was listening to part of the interview today, and I was doing a drive up to an event, and I was just there going, "This is unbelievable. This is shocking." It's a fantastic interview. It does have multiple parts. They're long, but at no point do you get bored. I'll tell you that much. I think everyone should go and listen and see what's really going on. I don't know why people aren't picking up on this interview, Megan. Maybe it is the fear factor. Maybe it is deals with Channel 9 of getting drops on what's going on with the show and getting exclusive access. Who knows? But keep up the great work.
Thank you. And just for anyone, it's not just about Sierra's story. It's about a lot more. It's about reality TV in general and what really goes on. And like I said, she's backed everything up with a lot of evidence and just gone into quite a lot of detail. So it's really eye-opening.
Yeah. The podcast is called So Dramatic. There's a podcast website. It is one of the biggest podcasts out there. If you love knowing the truth about reality TV, you must go and have a listen. Megan, thanks for joining us on McKnight tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Fun, insightful interviews from a washed-up producer with nothing to lose. Night tonight, McKnight tonight, McKnight tonight. It's good night from McKnight.